So hello everyone, this is Hussein Hashim from WhatsApp Media Network. We are at the University of Michigan here in Dearborn, where multiple student organizations, including the Arab Student Unions, the LSA at the University of Michigan, the Yemeni Student Association. There's like almost seven other organizations that basically took part in a candlelight vigil to honor the lives that were lost due to the terrorist attack in New Zealand. And I have with me Chief Haddad from the Dearborn Police. Hello, Chief.
Yeah, how you doing? Tonight we want to make sure that everybody has a safe experience here. I couldn't be prouder of UM-Dearborn and the young people. Our future is bright. You can see what kind of leadership you have out here, and this is a tragic time for the entire world, and our city is no different. So we're here to give support and remember those poor souls that were lost in New Zealand.
Okay. I see a huge police presence to some extent. Is that due to anything in specific or just precaution?
There's absolutely nothing specific. We want everybody to feel comfortable, and believe it or not, anytime there's some major event in our city, we're always around anyway. So we're just here to make sure that, again, they feel comfortable and they can carry on with their duties just the way they have to.
As we mentioned, this event, this candlelight is organized by students organizations, students only. So what's your message to this generation of students, of student leaders, and to the community at large?
Yeah, I would just say to the students, keep working hard and keep giving back to the community and be a role model for the coming generations, because they seem to get it. And I'm really proud of this generation. So I wish them well, and they have to now be a role model for the younger ones coming behind them. And to our community, we have to support all these young people. We have to support all these young people, so thank you.
It's very crowded, so we're trying to videotape. And everyone.
I get it.
You're good?
Now we got a camera help here.
Yes, everyone is helping. Chief, thank you for being with me. So as we mentioned when we started this live stream, we are at the University of Michigan here in Dearborn, where there is a candlelight vigil to honor the lives that were lost due to the terrorist attack in New Zealand. It's organized by 7 student organizations here at the University of Michigan in Dearborn, and I can name some of them: ASU, LSA, Yemeni Student Association, the Iraqi American Student Union, the Student for Justice, and there is one more. Trying to, as much as I can, get the names, and the Students for Islamic Awareness. So these are the organizations that are taking part in this candlelight vigil. We expecting a program to start very shortly, so we're gonna stay with you guys and bring you as we get the latest from here today. So we're expecting some speakers. The speakers will include, I believe, the heads of the student organizations, the presidents of the student organizations, and I think a clergy is going to be here too to speak. And I'm not sure if Chief Haddad will be speaking too. So stay with us as we bring you the latest from this event that's going on now at the University of Michigan here in Dearborn. And as I mentioned when I was talking to Chief Haddad, we've seen a very good police presence. I've asked him if it's due to any specific thing, any extra precaution. He said no, this is a measure that's taken just to make sure the students are comfortable or are being protected. So we're going to try to bring some more interviews before this program starts. So stay with us. We took a first interview with Chief Haddad actually, so yeah, it fits.
I'm pretty sure it's universal. So. Okay. Yeah.
So
I just want to make sure. I think this is good. Obviously, I think you guys know how to adjust these things if you need.
Yes, sir.
All right. I understand.
So as you guys can see, there is a huge crowd here at the university.
We're starting now.
You're gonna start? Okay. Okay, the program is gonna start very shortly, so give me a second so I can. Here.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. We're going to be getting started shortly. Yep. I have the honor and privilege tonight to introduce to you the organizer of our event tonight. Her name is Lynn Kabani. She is the president of the Arab Student Union. She is a junior at our university. So without further ado, Lynn Kabani.
Thank you guys all for coming. I know this was very last minute, but I really wanted to make it happen. And honestly, if it wasn't for everybody that came here tonight, it wouldn't have happened. I wanted to just remind everybody that we're all here to honor the lives that were lost. And we're also here to let everybody know that our community is really diverse. And that's what makes us special. That's what makes us Dearborn, really. And it's not just about Dearborn, it's about everybody. Just us being here tonight proves that our different cultures, backgrounds, and religion does not matter. And things like this shouldn't really tear us apart. It should really bring us in together. So that's all I have to say. And we should probably start lighting up our candles right now. So if you guys want to go here and light up your candles. And then once we have our candles all lit up, Sheikh Muhammad Ayad is gonna be saying a few words. So there's that. Where's the Sheikh?
Over there. Right now?
Yeah. Once
Guys, we're gonna light up a few candles. If you guys can light your neighbor's candles, I'm gonna go around and try to.
Maybe it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to.
Of course.
we'll say a couple of things.
Start lighting the candles next to you.
Which mic was that projects the voice?
Okay, so this is the voice, and that's just for recording.
Is it fine if I take it off?
Yeah.
Can I hold it? Can I hold this?
You're more than welcome to. Should we wait till everyone's...
Yes, yes, of course.
Well, Jay, be careful.
Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Peace and blessings be upon you all. Really how Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alih, he tried to spread peace between human beings in that time when tribal system was dominant and they used to kill each other for simple reasons. How Prophet Muhammad used the word peace and spreading peace just by greeting. So assalamu alaikum all, peace and blessings be upon every single brother or in faith or equal in humanity. As the wise Ali ibn Abi Talib said, I'd just like to recite one verse from the Quran al-Kareem, then I will translate. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم صدق الله العلي العظيم. It's a message from the Quran Kareem to all mankind. All mankind, indeed, we created you from a male and a female and made you different nations and tribes that you may identify each other. God is the most knowledgeable, the most knowing. When we understand that we share the same nature, the same intellectual abilities, one thing that our nature always push us to do is that we are curious, we have curiosity, we like to know each other. When you are different, I will be more excited to speak to you and have conversation with you. Honestly, in this verse, what God is trying to say, that He accepts our differences, and we need on earth to accept it. There is one hadith, one tradition is very important, and then we can move from there. When the Prophet said that all creation are the children of God. Children, He nurtured them, He raised them. And the most beloved to God is the one who benefits the most, who serves the most, who helps the most, and so on. So we have to unite to serve, to help each other, to care about each other, to unite to use our strength that we have to help as much as we can. The people who are trying to be extreme, they are just trying to remove and delete a big number of people around them. For example, we have Islamophobia, and this term is very famous. 5, they are trying to narrow the circle of service from 2 billion Muslim around the earth. One of the imams in Iraq said that serving people is equal to serve God. God, He doesn't need anyone to serve Him. But when we say, I'm trying to serve God, I have to be serving His creation, and so on. So honestly, people that they are trying to spread hatred, people that they are trying to just cause damage and war and killing, they are just ruining their own nature. This Creator that He created us with an intellectual abilities that will make every single one of us be attracted toward perfection, toward beauty, toward justice, toward peace, toward love. And our nature is against hatred and killing and hurting and so on. So when a human being is trying to stand in a very easy way, enter to a sacred place, I'm not just speaking about that it's a mosque, but who is able to enter to a sacred place, to a place of worship for Muslims, he is ready to go to any other sacred places for other religions. That's why when we are standing against that extremist who entered and he killed those people, we are trying to save and to help and to stand against any evil in this world. That's why this Islamophobia that caused the largest refugee camp in the world in Burma, Myanmar of the Range people. In China, largest concentration camp for 3 million Muslims. In India, 3-4 million Muslims in India from citizenship. Of course, any human being who still have a pure nature, a clear intellect, and so on, this human being will be against those actions. That's why, I'm really proud of this gathering, because we have Muslims, non-Muslims from all different religions and sections and so on, to stand for building and reminding people in their pure instinct nature and their clear intellectual abilities. And thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Up next, we have Muhammad Hassan that would like to say a few words.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. What happened in Christchurch, New Zealand should make each and every single one of us here today furious. And if we are not furious, then we need to recheck ourselves and evaluate what's in that heart. Because every single one of us here today shares a commonality with the victims of Christchurch, New Zealand. If you have brothers or sisters at home then you share a commonality, because amongst the victims were brothers and sisters. If you have a mother or father, or if you yourself are a mother or father, then you share a commonality, because amongst the victims were mothers and fathers. And if you have, they say, the heaviest caskets are the smallest, a child at home, then you share a commonality, because amongst the victims was a 3-year-old boy and a 3-year-old child. You do not even need to share any of these commonalities to sympathize with these victims. We are all united under the same umbrella, the same common denominator of humanity. And it should not take, God forbid, something to happen to our beloved ones so that we can be furious and demand justice. As mentioned, if you don't share any of these commonalities, then at least you are a free human being who shares that with the victims of Christchurch, New Zealand. And may God bless the man who said people are divided into two units, either your brothers, sisters in religion, or your equals in humanity. I may not pray the way you pray. I may not worship what you worship. I may not practice what you practice. But I stand with you on the principle that we should resist oppression, stand with the oppressed in the face of the oppressor. And those who were victimized on that horrible, barbaric day were people of God. And I send this message to all those who consider themselves people of God. It was on Friday prayer, in their most vulnerable, that monster knew they would be there at that time and that point. They were feeling safe in their safe spot, in their safe zone, on those prayer mats they were praying on. For years, little did they know that those mats would become stained with their blood, drenched and dyed red. And this is why that blood is considered sanctified, more sanctified than any building that we deemed sanctified. The Kaaba in Mecca, the Western Wall in Jerusalem, St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. All of that does not amount to an iota of the blood of an innocent child. Why do I say something like that? Because it was a human being who built the Kaaba. It was a human being who built the Western Wall. It was a human being who constructed St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. And let me tell you, if they were all to be destroyed, you would have worldwide protests, global calamities occurring, international disrupts. But at the end of the day, they would be rebuilt. I tell you, between you and God, I beg of you, can you rebuild the life of an innocent child? Can you reconstruct that? That's why you cannot. And if because you cannot, it is more valuable than anything we deem valuable on this earth today. And I conclude with these remarks. You do not have to be Muslim to sympathize with what happens to innocent Muslims. You don't even need to be human. You just need to have a heart, something which terrorists lack. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you. Up next, we have Ahmed Al-Kaabi that would like to say a few words as well.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. These remarks were last minute because, to be honest, like everyone here, I was lost for words on the tragedy that happened. So there's a few words that I wrote. I might be referencing my phone, so I'm not really texting while I'm up here, just to let you all know. On behalf of the Iraqi American Student Union, I would like to really thank everybody for being here and standing in solidarity with the Muslim community on this campus. Sadly, this was not the first time that we all have gathered around at a vigil to honor the lives of people lost to senseless gun violence. To be honest, to be quite frank, white supremacist hate, white nationalist hate, and overall hate and gun violence. Unfortunately, being quite frank, this won't be the last time that we faced hate like this until we come together as a community and organize, come together with other individuals that faced similar tragedies before. Until we start organizing and building coalition with other communities and doing something about this, approaching our elected officials, approaching individuals in the community that have stake in this matter, this situation will continue to happen. We will continue to see lives being lost due to gun violence. If for a moment you want to think this tragedy does not affect us because it's in another country, then you are, quite frankly, you are wrong. It's because of the rhetoric coming out of the White House. It's because of the rhetoric that's coming out of our country, this rhetoric filled with hate, inciting fear, into the lives of Muslims. It's because of our Muslim band that hate like this is, you know, prevalent around the world. You know, this man mentioned Donald Trump's name. You know, that should, you know, really worry us because he is our president and we are sitting in this nation and we are electing individuals like this to be representing us. So we must hold people like this accountable, because if we don't, other individuals will be inspired by this and this will continue to happen perpetually in our communities. You know, after, I'll put this away, to be honest with you guys. I'm just, after this tragedy happened, I was with my friend Muhammad. We were sitting in our car and we were just discussing this, and we were honestly, lost for words on this tragedy that happened. These tragedies happen all the time, and we've become so desensitized to it. You know, we see these numbers like 50 people died, 10 people died, and we just say, our condolences. We put up a post on Facebook, and then it's over, right? But what was so different about this tragedy is that we saw a live stream of people being slaughtered, people being butchered, and that's what put it into perspective for us. This is what happens every single time that these tragedies are happening, that gun violence is happening in our communities. And this really put it to perspective. We should hold people accountable for what just happened. We should never let this tragedy die out. Muhammad will be further go along and extending the remarks that I had to say, but I really want to thank everybody for coming out today. Sorry for my short remarks, but I'm really lost for words because I'm still dealing and coping with the tragedy that just happened. Being an immigrant, seeing this stuff happening in my country back home, this is stuff that's not new to me. People might see this on TV and think this stuff just happens randomly. No, this has been happening in the Middle East for years, for decades, right? And so this won't be the end of it until we come together and organize and really hold people accountable, because this really will not be the end of it. So thank you very much. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you for the Dearborn Police Department for keeping us safe and providing security. Let's hope this is the last of these tragedies. Thank you, everyone.
Up next, we have Janine Yassin, who would also like to say a few words.
Abdullah Dirri, 4 years old. 4 of Adan Ibrahim Dirri's 5 children managed to escape Friday's attacks, but the youngest, Abdullahi, was murdered. The family fled Somalia in the mid-1900s as refugees and resettled in New Zealand. Haji Nabi, 71 years old. Nabi moved his family to New Zealand in 1979, escaped the Soviet-Afghan War. Days before the shootings, his son Omar recalled his father speaking about the importance of unity. Muqad Ibrahim, at just 3 years old, Muqad Ibrahim is the youngest known victim of the attacks. He was separated from his older brother Abdi and their father when the shooting began at the mosque. Muqad was born and raised in Christchurch. He was beloved by the community, known for his energetic demeanor and easy laugh. He was bright and bubbly and loved playing with the iPad. Husni Era Parvin, 42 years old. Parvin died being struck by bullets while trying to shield her husband. These are only 4 out of the 51 victims who in a day, a week, may be considered old news. Collateral damage. My heart is heavy because these innocent people were taken from us too soon. And I'm ashamed of our desensitization. But I'm not surprised by the slaughter of the hands of white vigilantes anymore. And maybe it's because white supremacy is embedded in our communities, in our everyday lives, to the point where we don't even see it. We don't see it when the white supremacists run for government, become our senators, our presidents. We don't see it when they organize rallies against us and are protected by the police. When dehumanizing campaigns and statements that justify the invasions of the global South become a form of patriotism, an attitude that stresses how the success of a nation can only come at the expense of the other, the immigrants, the terrorists, this is what we are left with. Whether it is a state-sanctioned carpet bombing at a Yemeni wedding, funding the illegal occupation of Palestine, starving Venezuela, or attacking Muslims in New Zealand, killing 51 of them in their most vulnerable state in their sanctuary. Terrorism is terrorism. But others won't see that if we let this crime against humanity go unnoticed. If, once again, we allow others to forget and for the media to drown out our voices for the next celebrity scandal. Let me ask this. Where are the condolences? These were my brothers and sisters. These were our brothers and sisters. I am saying what's become clear to all of us. A white life is worth more than a Muslim life, a Yemeni life, a Palestinian life, a black life, a trans life. Our lives are only newsworthy when we are villains and not victims. We live in a country where the Black Panthers were dismantled by the US government, while the KKK are allowed to exist and thrive. Things like counterterrorism and gun laws were never created to protect Muslims, black folks, Arabs, indigenous folks, brown people, or the LGBTQ community. They were created to marginalize us and sustain the status quo that put fascists above us, and to popularize a rhetoric that inspires tragedies like the ones that befell our brothers and sisters in Christchurch. I don't want to wait for another attack for us to get together again. Well wishes, statuses, posts, and Instagram stories aren't enough anymore. While white supremacy, Zionism, and white nationalism will continue to thrive off of Islamophobia, racism, homophobia, and sexism tomorrow. It will be a disservice to our brothers and sisters if we shed tears now and don't take the necessary actions to stop this from happening again. This is not the time to be performative allies. The powers that be, whether it's government or academic institutions, that will show face, take a picture, and carry on like it's business as usual. We won't follow this trend. We need to leave here prepared with a motivation to dismantle this fucked up system that keeps us in this cycle for the sake of the masses, because in the end, this system affects all of us. Our struggles are intertwined. We can't be free until we are all free. Thank you.
Our last guest speaker is Sarah Nassar.
Good evening and thank you for coming. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Nassar and I'm a part of ASU. So, we are all gathered here today due to the tragedy of New Zealand, and together we mourn the loss of innocent human beings who deserve to be alive right now. This vigil should be a stepping stone for change. Unified as one, we can and should fight against hate by voicing our concerns and taking this day with us in every aspect of our lives. On campus, we can start off by working together and remembering those whose lives were lost. We need to recognize that what happened there could have happened here in our very own community. Dearborn has the largest Arab and Muslim population outside of the Middle East, and we need to recognize that our brothers and sisters around the world could be at danger of losing their lives this very second. Let's join together, educate everyone about the truth around the world, about the truth, because their hate comes from misinformation, lies, and bigotry. We must stand firm in our peaceful roots. Let's shine a candle tonight for them and let our light shine. As it has been said, hate cannot drive out of hate. Darkness does not defeat darkness. Only light can do that. Don't feel as though your voices can't be heard. We live in dark times, but even the dimmest of lights shine radiantly in the dark. We must not and will not let white supremacy, racism, hatred against any people stand. We need to educate our brothers and sisters around the world that we stand for peace, not violence. And if you could please take a moment of silence to recite a prayer for those whose lives have been lost. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you guys for your speeches. If anyone would like to come up and say a few words, you guys are more than welcome to. Does anyone want to come up?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Good. I just wanted to take this moment to kind of talk a little bit, something a little bit more pragmatically than, because everybody's been really good with invoking emotion. But for the longest times, Muslims and minorities in general, all throughout the world, have let the oppressors dictate the rhetoric and dictate the narrative around them, right? We saw just with this latest tragedy, a couple of people decided, let's post up this video and show people what actually happened. Show how there was no heart or humility when this dude literally took a gun, shot some people as they were on the ground already dead, and he decided to shoot them some more. We talk about numbers, but we finally had some evidence that we could show in front of the oppressors. We could show in front of people like Donald Trump and be like, yo, is this all right? Let's be honest, is this all right? We talk about gun controls, Is this okay? Is this an assault rifle? Is this person using this assault rifle? Is this fine with you? But right away I noticed the New Zealand police immediately on Twitter, right? Before they really gave us any details about what the investigation, don't post this, right? And a bunch of people went after, do not post this. This is what he wanted. Well, I'm going to say this. Personally, I posted the video. And it's not really, my next point isn't really about whether you should post or not. My point is that there is always a narrative that is negative towards us Muslims. And whenever we try to push something and say, hey, this is bad for us, this happened, we're not the terrorists, right? There's video, I mean, just a couple of years ago, I remember a Jordanian, I believe it was a Jordanian pilot who was burned alive by Daesh. You know what they did? I swear to God, CNN posted the video. They posted it, and they're like, this is what Daesh is doing. And then a bunch of people all over social media got to see this pilot get burned alive by these so-called Muslims, right? And everybody was out. This is what Muslims do. Well, in reality, the actual narrative, the narrative that we Muslims should have pushed is that the biggest victims of Daesh were literally Muslims in the Middle East. How many people have died? How many non-Muslims from the West have died to ISIS? I don't even know the number, but it's literally nothing compared. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much nothing compared to what actually happens in the reality. Look at Israel, for God's sakes. How many Israelis are dying compared to the baby Palestinians? The Palestinians were literally dying every day who aren't being fed water. Every single time there's a tragedy over here, we sit around and we mourn, we do all this stuff, but we need to start pushing the narrative that, hey, the stuff that you guys push, this rhetoric, this white supremacy is bullshit. We're not here talking about right-wing, left-wing extremists. No, get out of here. This is literally, you guys have been doing this for thousands of years. They've been doing this. Colonialism and imperialism has been going on for years. They have been coming into our countries. They have been dismantling our infrastructure. They have been destroying everything that we've been about. And then when we just simply say, hey, can we take refuge in these empires that you have built through the wealth and the backs of our nations that you have decided to destroy? We get told, yeah, but hold on. You have to go through this entire year-long process. We have to make sure that you guys aren't the bad guys. Wait a second. How long did it take you guys to get background checked when you came in? Mobilized and ready to take our resources. So that's all I really wanted to say. I hope everybody stays safe out there. But just remember, at the end of the day, when stuff like this happens, we got to do something. We got to mobilize together. And we got to make sure people like Donald Trump, they think twice before even pushing this anti-Muslim rhetoric. Thank you.
So from what I heard that we have an issue with white supremacists and Zionists. But I think as Muslims, we need to look within ourselves and look at what we're doing wrong. I think Saudi Arabia is the thorn in the side of the world, and Qatar is a close second. So in essence, what I'm saying is that before we blame others, we need to look at ourselves and what we're doing wrong. Extremist Muslim actions are real. And there's repercussions for our actions. So I think the number one thing we need to do is stand up against Saudi Arabia and what they do and the rhetoric they push. Before we look outward, before we look at Zionists, before we look at Israel, before we look at white supremacists, before we look at Donald Trump. That's all I have to say.
I probably have like a 1 minute just sentence probably to say. I heard a lot about political things, and I heard a lot about Palestine, Israel, that conflict, conflicts with our current president. Although those are important points to make, I walked into this vigil with one thing. My life could have been taken. I'm human. This is a humanitarian thing. It's not only a political war that we're fighting. It's a humanitarian war that we're fighting. And I just want to put that out there because I walked in here feeling so strongly about that, and I want each and every one of you to think about it. Forget that those people that died were Muslim. Whatever you are, whatever you may be, imagine that was you. Imagine that was your mother, brother, sister, father, grandfather. You know, it's just important to put that out there, and I hope that we can all take a moment and just think about what we could do, you know, to prevent other unfortunate events from happening. So, thank you.
If anyone else would like to speak, they're more than welcome to come up here. But I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. And like she said, the fact that everybody came here to risk their lives, to prove a point, to show that we're all one, and that the attack in New Zealand not only just affects the people in New Zealand, but affects all of us around. And I wanted to also thank all the organizations that collaborated with Arab Student Union to make this happen. I'd like to thank Student Orphan Relief, the Lebanese Student Association, the Iraqi American Student Union, the Muslim Student Association, Students for Islamic Awareness, Students for Justice in Palestine, the Yemeni Student Association, and I'd also like to thank Greenland for donating all their water bottles, and I'd also like to thank Dearborn Fresh for also donating all these candles that we were able to light up tonight. Thank you guys all for coming.
It's good. You're good.
No, it's not.
No, it was.
Oh, golly, I didn't.
Was it really?
I don't know.
No, I smell it.
Of course, someone had to get lit on fire tonight. And I forgot to thank our campus for making this happen. And I'd also like to thank the Dearborn police officers that are here tonight that also risked their lives to make sure that we are all safe and protected. Thank you. Oh, Lysandra, thank you. I need to get a haircut now.
Oh, no, dude. Great job. See, it went well. Got it.
I thought, well,
After hearing everybody else.
So that is it for us. We were at the University of Michigan here in Dearborn, and as we mentioned earlier, there were a candlelight vigil to honor the lives that were lost during the terror attack in Newziland. It was organized by several student organizations at the University of Michigan in Dearborn. The organizations who were involved are the Arab Student Union, the Lsa, Lebanese Student Association, the Students for Islamic Awareness, the Yemeni Student Association, the Iraqi American Student Union, the Student for Justice in Palestine, and the University of Michigan-Dearborn Muslim Student Association. So there were so many student associations and organizations involved in this candlelight vigil that took place here at the University of Michigan in Dearborn. The message differed from one student to another, from one organization to another, but all of them, they were sad and angry about what happened in New Zealand, and they asked for more precaution and measures to be taken to prevent such action or such attacks from taking place in any place and anywhere in the world. So So we had many speakers who were students, head of their student organization that spoke at the event. The mic was open to the public to speak. 2 or 3 students, they spoke their opinion. I mean, whatever was said today, we basically just broadcasted. We don't necessarily support or agree with what was said, but we're just a media network that broadcasts whatever happens here in the community or around. So thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you share this video so we can reach more people. This was Hussein Hashim reporting for What's Up Media Network Web TV. Thank you.